And Jesus said unto them, Ye shall indeed drink of the cup that I drink of, and with the baptism that I'm baptized withal. And with the baptism that I am baptized withal shall ye be baptized. But to sit on my right hand and on my left hand is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared. And when the 10 heard it, they began to be much displeased with James and John. You see how them brothers exalted themselves? They felt that they were the sons of God. They felt that they were close to God too. And they wanted to exalt. And because of this, they wanted to sit on the right hand. Instead of making stones and bread into stone, they wanted to sit on the right hand. Possibly to prove that they are in favor with the master. But what did it bring? It brought division within the party. It brought division within the social system that was being established. This is what Satan tried to tempt Christ with. And this is what Christ had to deal with and overcome, and then teach his students to overcome the same thing when we're talking about this movement. We can't fall into what Saul fell into. So they were displeased, right? But Jesus called them to him and said unto them, see, you got to get them together now, because wait a minute now. We can't have no schisms in the group now. It's where it's coming from, some schisms in the group. And Jesus called them to him and said unto them, Ye know that they which are accounted to rule over the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and their great ones exercise authority upon them. So he said, look at the nations. Look at the elite. Look at Judeans here who got their hand in Rome back pocket. Look how the Pharisees are. But even more so, the Herodians. And even more than them, look at the Romans. Look at the nations who Rome governed over. They love to exercise lordship one over another. That's why it was just 50 families owned all the land in Rome. They love to exercise lordship. To this day, people love to exercise lordship, to be one up on top of somebody, to be exalted, to be the boss. Man, he said the Gentiles, the nations love it. See, these are, again, a part of the philosophies and rudiments of the world. This was a part of the lust of the flesh. Not just committing adultery, all right? Not just serving idols, but exaltation is a lust of the flesh. And what did he tell them? Since the nations love to do this, but, verse 43, but so shall it not be among you, but whosoever will be great among you shall be your minister, and whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all. For even the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many. He didn't come to exalt himself. And everyone in this society can't exalt themselves either. And I'm going through this to bring us, because that's all I want to deal with now, his first temptation, or the temptations he went through. Then we're going to pick it up when he began to make the proclamation about the kingdom. But first he had his character, his flesh was tested to see if he was going to fall, and he didn't. And let's continue in Philippians 2. Yeah, that exaltation, what Satan was trying to bring out of Messiah was exaltation. He was trying to bring the pride of life out of him. He was trying to get him to do something that wasn't necessary. Oh, I'm going to eat, man. I don't have to prove that I'm the Son of God. I don't have to prove that. I don't have to go take this high seat to prove anything. Philippians 2 and 1. Philippians 2 and 1. And it reads, now this is what Paul telling the people again now. If there be therefore any consolation in Christ, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowels of mercies, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. And this is what he needed to, all the people in this new kingdom, this is where they need to be. One accord, one mind. The disciples shouldn't they shouldn't have wanted to uplift themselves above their brother. Verse 3, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind let each esteem other better than themselves. They should have came to the master and said, look, let Thomas sit on your right hand. They would have been better preferring someone else before themselves. Verse 4, look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. This is how it's going to, this kingdom will prevail. Again, look what Paul is dealing with in a society at large. Was it vainglory in a society at large? Of course. History lets us know Rome worshiped money. It was in a pursuit of money. Prestige, luxury, privilege. Was it strife there? Absolutely. It was insurrections and riots and everything else going on. Tumults all over the land among the oppressed. Even in Judea. So we had strife. But he said in lowliness of mind esteem one other better than themselves. That's hard to do when you're living in a social system of competition. Verse 5. Let this mind be in you which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God thought it not robbery to be equal with God. Real quick, I want to address this real quick. Notice. He said, being in the form of God thought it not robbery to be equal with God. Robbery carried a different definition than you know it today. Robbery, if you look it up in Greek, robbery, it means to cling or to grasp or to hold on to. What Paul is saying here is that Christ thought it not robbery to be equal with God. He chose not to grasp that equality. He chose not to hold on to this equality. Okay? This is what Paul was trying to convey. Not that he didn't think there was anything wrong with it. No. Look up robbery. He's describing the humility of the mind of Christ. He thought it not robbery. He chose not to grasp, cling, hold on to being equal with the Father. Or should I say Elohim or God. Verse 7. But instead of claiming equality with Elohim, made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. In other words, he laid his life down. That's what he did. He laid his life down. And laying his life down, brothers and sisters, what happened? Same thing that the parable Christ was given. Verse 9. Wherefore God also hath highly exalted him, and given him a name which is above every name. See, he took that low seat. Then the Father came and told him to come up here. Come up here where I am. Because you took that lower seat. And this is what he's telling his society to do in a society of ego. In a society of I'm first, I'm ruler. Remember that's what the Gentiles exercise lordship. This is what Satan was trying to do to our master, to provoke him to magnify himself and performing something or using his power that he had to magnify himself. And Satan he didn't stop all the way to the death of the cross. He did the same thing. That's why he heard them gnashing at the Messiah. Come down if you be the Messiah. Come down. Still trying to cause him to, or provoke him by insults. Like, you ain't the Son of God. You save yourself. You know, to continue to provoke him to exalt himself or to show the world that he's somebody. That's not how you do it. So we're almost out of here with this thing. Let's go back now to Mark to finish the temptation part after the baptism, when he renounced the old order. Okay, and you remember with John 2, I believe, verses 1 John, I should say, 1 John 2 verses 15 and 16. It tells us what's not of the Father, and that is the lust of the world, the pride of life. That's not of the Father. That's not of Elohim. And in this movement, it cannot exist. And I can't tell you that enough. I did a little research on Mao. I did some research on the Panthers. You got all of these different movements. All of these different movements up until present day. That you have these internal struggles taking place. Factions. People want to be head leaders, splitting up. Okay, that happened with the Panthers. Among Mao, he used to address how different generals and different people, they wanted to be bigger than who they were. Okay? Even here in this area, you got different groups starting doing activist work, and you got one guy want to go out and get houses together for the poor. He developed a team. People get wind, see how far he going, getting government help. Next thing you know, it's division in the group because somebody got to be the big eye. So in this movement to go against the powers that be, you have to eliminate exaltation. That got to be gone. That can't be there. Or else the enemy will hit it like a fighter like he'll jab at another fighter's open cut, man. That got to be gone. So here in Mark. So I won't hold y'all. Been running off at the trap. Mark. Back to Mark chapter 1. I'm sorry, not Mark. We were in the temptations. We're in Luke. Luke chapter 4. Luke chapter 4 we were. And so, that was one of the temptations. Prove you the Son of God. Now we got Luke 4 and 5. And the devil, taking him up into a high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will I give it. If thou therefore wilt worship me, all shall be thine. In other words, take the bait that the Romans took. Take the bait that the Herodians took. Take the bait that the Levites and the sons of Maccabee took. Worship Satan for power, gain, money. The worship of money. We read in history, this is what the worship, and I'll read it again just for edification. Caesar and Christ, under chapter 15, Rome at Work, page 332, section 7, the classes. Nearly everybody in Rome worship money with a mad pursuit. So we got Satan here. If you want all his power, you want all his glory, come on down here and worship me. And this is the same thing today. That happened then. That he offered the same bait to Judas. Same bait. Paid him off to inform the authorities to come and arrest the Messiah. But the Creator used that for the victory. But it's always been the same way. You get FBI informants. You have movements that want to begin to help the people, to help bring or break oppression